Right.
That's where it
You're
makes it
good.
super difficult.
What we have to be careful of is how we give our land away. For some of us, not even get paid.
Some of us will.
Not even get paid. I'll talk to you
Yeah,
later.
yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, good evening. I'd like to call to the order the Oregon City Council meeting, February 2nd, 2026. The time is 7:12. And after the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Gibbs would like you to stand for a short prayer. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you just thanking you and praising you for your many blessings. We thank you for this time we can come together as a free people, Lord. We pray, Father, that you would give us wisdom and direction. You just lead and guide and direct in the decisions that need to be made. And we pray, Father, that your will would be done. And Lord, I just ask that you'd give us a serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And we'll thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, this is Committee of the Whole. Council is not required to be here. Being said, all the council's here with the exception of Councilwoman Mrs. Ackerman. She was unable to attend. Also joining us tonight is Mayor Steve Solander, Acting City Administrator Paul Roman, Clerk of Council Josette Snyder, Acting Law Director China Pfeiffer, Acting Public Service Director Rodney Schultz, Chief of Police Mr. Chief Began, also Chief Ryan Spangler, Fire Chief Clayton O'Brien, along with his Chief Mark Mullins, and Finance Director Nick Roman. Okay, first order of business this evening is persons and delegates to speak. If you would, please state your name and address. And the first one we have up is Winona. I believe it's Nutter. Ms. Nutter. Good evening.
Tony's daughter. Winona Nutter, 4454 Bayshore Road. I just have two questions. Mr. Turner, how many of these data centers have you been dealing with? I mean, in your career?
I've been doing it for 10 years.
And how many do you think you've put in?
Like buildings?
Uh-huh. You know, do what you're doing.
Dozens, yeah.
Talking to people, persuading them. How many do you think you've done?
Like I said, I mean, buildings-wise, probably dozens. And so, yeah, I mean,
Dozens?
I enjoy doing this. I think it's a great opportunity for the community that I reach out to.
Okay, and my question is, in all the ones that you set up, have you all ever done a study on what happens to the people who have to live under the data centers, under the air, the water, the birds, and everything that goes on? I mean, have you done a study on what happens to us? Because you're within a mile of my home.
Yes, I have data centers near my home as well.
And do you have you done any studies on people?
We do the studies in advance to make sure that there's no issue, and there's been no issue to me and my children living near a data center.
You can't take an issue if you haven't lived through it and caught a disease like lung disease or something, or your hearing goes bad because of the noise, or you can't sleep at night because of the brightness.
So I think you're probably referring to areas where there's data centers not done the right way. I think Texas is one place to look at that, where they've had Bitcoin mining operations and allowable to 85 decibels close to people's homes.
Okay.
No controls on lights, and I've seen those, and those are major impacts. We are talking about addressing that in the economic development agreement to make sure that's not the case.
So you're telling us we're not going to have any of those issues?
We're going to resolve that in the economic development agreement.
I don't speak that language. What does that mean?
That's the agreement in which they're going to impose noise and lighting conditions on the project and other mitigation as a part of the agreement to, for us to enter into the deal with the city on the land. There's a level of control that the city has on the project to mitigate those impacts, and they've been very studious in the research that they've done. Paul's done a phenomenal amount of research. I mean, he's done a lot more than I usually see in a jurisdiction. The folks here are asking good questions and have the whole time. We've been open about it and pointed them in the direction of those other communities. And in fact, I mean, early on with Joel, I pointed him towards Prince William and Loudoun County, where I came up doing data centers.
So the early ones had issues and the latter ones do not?
The latter ones, so what you're getting the benefit of is a
Learning
process. I
curve?
guess I'm
Mr. President.
kind of talking up.
Right,
around
you
there,
should
but-
speak into the mic if possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Learning
so
curve?
what you're getting the benefit of in this community is that those lessons have been learned. So if there has been an impact on noise, right? Noise is one where you come back, you measure it, say, hey, look, this isn't meeting the decibel requirements of the law. Well, they have to go back in and put in enclosures and sound attenuation, put up fencing. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you can look up where data centers have not adhered to the law and the local jurisdiction has held them rightly accountable. There's been some communities where they haven't held them accountable. I mentioned those Bitcoin mines down in Texas. Like, there's some times where this stuff's not done the right way, and I never want to bring that to a community. I mean, I take a lot of pride in what I do, and it's the last thing that I want to be known for. Trust me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Nutter. Next up, Ms. Fran Wilbur. Name and address, please, Fran.
Frances Wilbur, 3226 Northeast Moreland Drive. Okay, I was asked numerous people, numerous questions, because they know that Dennis owns property where they want to buy more property. And people are asking me because it's well-known that the last people that hold out get the most money because they can't do it without that property. And I was also told that, I know Mr. Wallensack did abstain from a vote out here, but I heard he didn't back there. That he voted on things for this data center, and he shouldn't have. He owned property over there, should have abstained. And he didn't. Again, transparency, guys. Again, that should not be allowed, and if it was allowed, there needs to be something done about it, because we don't need backdoor fours anymore. We want transparency, that's all we're asking. All we're asking, please, talk to us. Don't make decisions back there and then bring them out here and say, tough luck. We decided back there what we're doing. It's not fair to us, fellow council people, the city of Oregon. We have always been proud of the city. I couldn't be prouder over this snow. This community jumped in, helped neighbors. Our trucks, they were out there. The next day, they come down our road. You know, they can only do so much. They can only do so much. I heard so many people on Facebook complaining, and it's like, if you had a family member that's having a heart attack, you would want the main roads plowed to the hospital, bottom line. But I've heard several things that just, I don't know, it just don't make any sense. The 12 million we're supposed to get. At first, we were told that the schools would get 10, the city would get 10 million. Now, it's 12 million, so the city will get 6, the schools will get 6. How do numbers change like that? That's a big discrepancy in what they're supposed to get. I mean, when it's 10 million, that makes a big difference between that and 6.
Mr. Roman?
Okay. Just to respond, first of all, the number on the purchase, this is city property, okay? So this is strictly the city's property that invested in the purchases, and what Gary Thompson mentioned was the purchase price of $18 million, if that would go with this amendment. So it's just the difference of what we paid versus what Will's company is willing to pay would be the difference. That would not go to the school. The bigger discussion is if they have service payments in lieu of property taxes, that would be shared with the schools. That's what we were talking about. That has to be something that we yet have to discuss in a public meeting as a part of the economic development agreement. So that's the difference there.
I know everybody's worried about that tax abatement and now it's 15 years before that becomes, we get more money. Why can't we do a 5-year tax abatement?
Well,
I mean, honestly, why can't we do 5 instead of 15?
there can be
The
all
the
kinds of
citizens
discussions.
might feel better knowing
It-
that money's coming when we're gonna be alive. I mean,
Right.
30 years, I don't know if any of us will still be here in 30 years,
I get it.
but
Now, keep in mind, the city's primary revenue is income tax, not property tax, and the schools is property tax. So it does make a difference on the schools and their levies and everything else. So you gotta take that all into account. But this will all come up at that economic development agreement. And that will be a public meeting, discuss that.
okay. And we will all,
Yeah,
as I can see,
Just like we
we're
met
all getting to
tonight.
say, we're all getting to say what we want to. And I applaud you guys. Thank you so much for not yelling at us, telling us to leave the room. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Fran. Next up is Jim Davis.
Jim Davis, 5494 Bay Shore. I think it's more than a little bit ironic that today is Groundhog Day. Because just like the movie, it feels like Oregon is repeating the events of 2 years ago when a major decision affecting all the citizens here in Oregon was rushed through with very little public notice and passed as an emergency measure. And it doesn't seem logical that at the same time Mr. Turner is asking for a contract extension for the now not load study, that they are asking to purchase even more land, and city council is treating it as an emergency measure. There are still many unanswered questions resulting from the town hall. There are many additional concerns that the citizens have had not been addressed, such as the city council touring a data center. From Capacity's own website, it appears they had involvement in the data center project in New Albany. So why is Mr. Turner not able to facilitate such a visit? In addition, other than water uses, I have not heard any answers to the many other questions such as low-frequency noise, construction traffic, the effect on utility rates, both electric and gas, and detrimental environmental effects. It would seem that such concerns deserve answers before any further discussions can proceed. There's been very little information about the proposed power plant as well. Mr. Turner actually answered a few things like that, on that today. So I'll skip that part. A lot has changed in this area since this contract was signed 2 years ago. There's been a large and growing resistance to these types of projects in the region on the basis of concern over property values, energy consumption, noise, and the location of these facilities too close to adjacent residential areas. Regardless of this project being located in an industrial park, there are still major concerns by nearby residents, including those directly adjacent to the proposed data center. The zoning as described under the advanced manufacturing category is completely inadequate when it comes to the required setbacks and noise limits. A project of this size will also be extremely disruptive due to its location directly adjacent to residential streets. Heavy industrial traffic will literally destroy the roads, leaving the city with the task and expense of repairing them. Others will speak tonight of the detrimental effects of this project upon the community, so I'll leave it for them to speak to those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Next up is Lori Davis.
Laura Davis, 5494 Bay Shore Road. Okay, I had my speech all written, but I sort of changed it. But I want to speak again on the moratorium. I thank Mr. Roman for explaining that it's both people wanted an extension. even though you're still discussing the properties and how you want to do this and do that, and it's still an issue out there, so it's not a done deal. What we want is it to be a done deal. We're just want it not to happen. You know, there's over 200 data centers in Ohio now. So why do we need one here? Our electronics are working fine without it. There's no reason we need one here. And I agree, you know, I agree that it's a good compromise of the extension. No, I agree with that. Then there's the reasons I gave last time for a moratorium were still applicable. Like there's changes in the leadership. People need to get more information. There's still a lack of trust in the community. An example right now today was the load study. We were told the load study is not done. The load study is not done. Now we find out it was done December 22nd and nobody knew about it. So there's lack of transparency among all you and to us also, like it's already been stated. So, and there's a lack of trust also with the OEDF, that the council again didn't know that people were being evicted by March. So, there's also some unanswered questions. So anyway, are the citizens really heard is what, you know, I heard someone ask for a vote with the public vote. It's easy to do. You just contact the Board of Elections. I tried to do it myself, but we didn't have the money for an attorney at the time, and it was a lot of signatures, which I don't mind gathering signatures. I'll do it if you want to do a vote. I'll help you get signatures. You know, the citizens should have a right to vote. It's November on the ballot. You'd have to get it in 3 months ahead of time for the vote. So, and also, when we went to the Anthony Wayne forum with Jerry Anderson, Mr. Thompson got up and said that if a city doesn't want a data center, they shouldn't have a data center. So I'd like to play that right now.
Toledo has 70 million gallons of excess water capacity and sewer capacity every day.
Please, folks, come on. We've been so good tonight. Let's listen, please.
So if you don't want a data center, then you're not going to get one, is my opinion, okay?
Okay, so there you have it. How many in this audience right now does not want a data center in Oregon? Raise your hands. So it's not a formal vote, but there are people here that do not want a data center. So I appreciate if you would just listen to us or let us vote for it ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Mr. Roman.
And I know Mr. Turner was, just so you know, and I know Mr. Hornak tried to address it. There was a question, I think, Amy, you maybe have brought it up, that people are being evicted. And I believe it was something, there was an incentive maybe in October. So yeah, if you could address that, it would be good.
No one is being evicted from their homes. I mean, that's just not happening. What's happening is that there were people who put their property under contract with the city. We bought into those contracts when we went, as the city was assembling this property, and those folks have move-out dates, the latest one of which is December 12th of this year. And when we were looking at, hey, we think we're still on track, we think the load study's coming, and we originally thought we were going to get it in October, if you all recall. And so we approached some of the owners and offered them, say, hey, look, are you open to moving out, then we'll give you an incentive to do that. This extra money in their pocket to do that. And it was totally up to them. They could have said, no, I can't do that for whatever reason. Some of them, you know, I tried to talk to them, try to figure out timing as to how soon they could actually get out, if they wanted to, but it was entirely in their control per their contract that they had with the city. So no one's kicking out. I certainly am not doing that. I don't want to do that. I'm asking them to leave earlier and offering them an incentive to do that, and they can just tell me no. And so then we're still with the timelines that we had before. I'm certainly not evicting anybody.
Thank you. Next up is Newt Hubner.
Newt Huber, 3530 Mary Ellen Drive. On December 4th of 2000, my 20-year-old daughter died unexpectedly of lupus. I got a phone call from my wife at 6 o'clock in the morning on December 12th. My daughter's brain dead, gone. I lost 2 people that day. My wife is not my wife, she's a new person. Death does that. But also I did something different. I decided to become a volunteer for the Department of Natural Resources. As I look around this freaking room, I'm looking at eagles. I was part of the original group of people that 20 years ago that visited nests when they weren't there. We were out in the fields in the wintertime, spotting scopes. For 4 or 5 years we did that, until we got to the point where the state said, put pictures on the wall, we got hundreds of them now. And I'm gonna sit here now and watch a data center take that away? Your community has a gold mine there, not a gold mine with freaking computers. December 15th, 2021, my wife was shot and killed out here in Oregon by my granddaughter's dad. 911 had a secret meeting. They decided they could save $8.6 million. Never came to us and said we're gonna do that. We're short when 911 calls. 6 days later, I got a call from the Oregon Police Department. They want to talk to me. I thought they were coming to talk about human feelings, hurt. No, they want to come to talk to me because somebody was on the phone that night for 7 minutes, and 911 didn't do nothing until 10:45 when my wife made her final phone call. These group of people walking in here walked to you people. They gave you a whole bunch of paper that said, look what we're gonna do. We're gonna make you rich. And you bought the dream. It ain't a freaking dream, it's a bunch of bullshit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huber. Next up is Mr. Jim Jackson.
Jim Jackson, 5619 Eagles Landing Drive. That's a hard act to follow. Right after the election, I stood here and I asked, why don't we put this in front of a vote? They said, well, we already voted. All 7 of us in the city council, 7-0, voted for it, and the mayor was for it. And the mayor, you waxed him 65% to 35%. You know why that was? He wanted the data center. We didn't. I think I agree with this lady, it should come to a vote of the people. Majority wins. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Next up, Connie Trudell.
Connie Trudell, 5046 Dove Road. So my questions center around tours of data centers. In my opinion, all the public officials involved in this should have toured a data center before the purchase agreement was signed in November of '24. I believe we're long overdue. So I'd like to know, what is the status of scheduling a tour of the inside of a data center for our new mayor, for all the council members, all the city administrators? I know that Fire Chief Clayton O'Brien had been trying to help out, and he mentioned at a recent council meeting that he was encountering all sorts of roadblocks. First of all, I don't think our fire chief should have to be scheduling these tours because you know what? He has a lot of other responsibilities. And he was trying to help out, and that's great that he was, but that should not be put on him. And I know that there was not a problem with the fire department personnel touring data centers, but he said when it came time to schedule tours of data centers for elected officials, that's where there was a problem. So doesn't this give pause to the city of Oregon on doing business with an industry that apparently is not receptive to providing tours to our elected and appointed officials? And I'd like to know, what is the status of scheduling a tour of the inside of a data center for citizens? At a meeting last month, my husband stood up and expressed an interest in touring a data center. I emailed Joel Mazur, and he did email me back promptly, January 14th, and said that Ms. Snyder was going to be reaching out and following up on that. So I'd like to know, what is the status of setting up the citizen tours as well?
President.
Mr. Roman.
I know I had talked to Josette as well, and I know she had reached out to Gary Thompson, and I think there was trying to coordinate with officials from New Albany, the city. And I thought, well, okay, but it'd be fine for them to maybe share their experiences with the data center, and that could be educational for council. But it still wasn't a tour on the inside. So I think maybe that's the flaw, and I don't know Gary and Will. The question is, and whether you still have connections with the New Albany data center, but it was a request for city officials, if not a couple citizens, to see the inside of a data center. And it was the hope that we could coordinate a tour of the inside. I have that interest as well. I've only seen the outside of New Albany, and it was a wish to see the inside. But I know New Albany is a business, and they're the end user, and they don't owe that to us, but it was a question of, is there connections that could be made to allow for that? So Gary, I don't know if you know any better.
So I think we have we're working on 3 dates of coordinating with the city of New Albany to go tour data centers. They do this on a regular basis. In fact, they did it so much that they kind of stopped doing it for people outside the country or all over the country, and they only do it for people in Ohio now. Remember, a data center is a secure, private facility. If you want to go tour the refinery in Oregon, they are not going to let you in all places.
Through a
of the
safety
refinery.
program. Yeah.
If you want to tour a hospital, they are not going to let you in the OR while someone's getting anesthesia. That building is billions of dollars of investment that contains highly sensitive data, probably about everybody in this room, whether it's your medical records, your banking records, traffic flow patterns, the things that control all the internet. You know, oddly enough, lots of people in the audience are Googling and using AI right now to find objections. So they're using data centers to oppose data centers. So I've been to the tank plant in Lima where they build M1 Abrams tanks. Okay, because of my job, I know we took a delegation of people there. It took me 8 months to get security clearance. A company like Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft is frankly just not going to let the general public in their building. End of story. For those that want to tour data centers in New Albany.
Excuse me, Mr. Thompson. I don't know who's talking. If you have a sidebar conversation, please go out in the hallway or come to the podium and let us all know what's going on. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
And I tell people all the time, you can go to New Albany anytime you want to get in your car and drive down 23 to 161. You can spend the day shopping at Easton. You don't need an organized tour. We're working on providing that. But any citizen that's, hey, I want to go look at these. There's one in Sandusky, right in downtown city of Sandusky. You can go see under construction as well. So they're everywhere.
Yeah,
but we're doing our best to coordinate schedules for a
to-
delegation from Oregon to go.
So to be fair to Connie's request, though, when you hear that fire chiefs were able to go inside, and I get it, you can
Well,
trust it.
I think
Go
the
ahead.
fire chief went inside because he asked a favor of a fellow fire chief. Right?
Okay.
It wasn't, it was to learn about what
We need
kinds
to
of
talk
things
to
he
that
would
guy.
have to do as a fire department in order
Okay.
to handle
But,
that.
and it's just that when it was brought to our attention that people were able to see the inside, the ask was, well, can other people see it? That's all.
So the other thing I would ask for the general public, right, if, Mr. Roman, you live in Oregon, so when you put an addition on your house and you file those plans at the building and zoning,
Sure.
do you invite the city of Oregon to walk through your property and show them, hey, I'm going to put the
I think if
bedroom
they
over
asked
here?
me, I might give them a tour.
Yeah,
It just
you
depends.
might, actually.
I might.
Yeah, you're probably one of 3 people in Oregon that would. Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Trudeau, are you done, or you got a little more,
Just
sweetie?
have one more comment.
Okay.
So when Mr. Fire Chief Clayton toured the data center, it wasn't just himself. There were other fire department personnel who went, and Mr. Mazur went as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trudeau. Next up's Melissa Webney.
Yep, I thought it was the general sign.
She's here representing Palmer Energy for one of the items tonight.
She's
And
getting.
I give her credit. I give you credit for sitting here.
I just thought it was the.
Right. No, I appreciate that. That's appropriate anyway.
So are you talking, or are you
Later,
just gonna?
in a little bit, Mr. President.
Totally separate from this.
I'm sorry.
I'm totally separate from
All right, thank you.
I just didn't realize that's what that was.
All right.
President?
Yeah.
My ask is when we present the ordinances for the ag, the NOAC ordinances, that you give that chance for Melissa to talk on it.
Alrighty, thank you. Okay, next up is Amy Mottmiller.
Amy Mottmiller, 5040 Corduroy Road. So I do have a couple of other questions for you, Mr. Turner. One is, I had given this council, and I know I talked to you beforehand, a list of, there was 17 questions that only 3 were answered at the town hall, 3 were partially answered in your letter from December 11th, and 11 were not answered. What might we expect to get answers to those questions?
Shortly, as I said, I got them here probably a week or so ago, and I was working a lot on the amendment, the extension amendment and stuff like that to prepare for tonight. So I have reviewed those questions. I know that a number of folks in the audience are familiar with them, and I could speak to any particular issue. I know there were a lot that were related to wetlands and environmental. We have some folks here tonight who worked on the wetlands delineation report, can answer some of those questions. Is there any in particular that are top of mind?
Those were questions that the community wanted to hear from, and I think they deserve answers. We've been waiting since November when you said you would go back and get the information, and it's months later.
So I jotted down the ones I was following up on and provided that letter December 19th into the city. If there are others that that you're saying that I missed, well, I just received those, and so I'm following up on those questions.
How long do you think it'll take to get answers?
I got to work through them here in the next, I'm hoping to get them out this month for sure. But
Yeah, I think,
again,
and Mr. President, if I could, I think it would be proper, just to answer in writing. I know Mrs. Mottmiller had a list of questions that had an attachment. And again, the idea was, a lot of it was environmental oriented, to have the environmental consultant, if it's in particular the one that did the wetland delineation, they might be the best person to answer it. And even, picking our brain, we do have environmentalists on staff that can help chime in. But it probably was good to put something in writing back to the answer, so.
yeah, no, I agree. Again, I like to be open and responsive to this. I'm happy to chat tonight. It sounds like you just want to wait till I have a chance to kind of finalize some answers, and that's fine too.
Okay. Also, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It was stated that you said that originally you were expecting like move-outs would be in December, and I understand it's not eviction because you offered them 6 figures to move out early. What is, if there's not a purchase agreement yet, then what is the acceleration that suddenly that you want them to move out sooner than what you anticipated earlier? To us, it gives the appearance of something's progressing.
Well, things are progressing. They're just progressing much slower than I'd hoped. So, like I said, we're 6 months behind, and I was anticipating that we were going to be able to close in a time frame to where we could submit site plan and begin work on the project that would necessitate access to the property sooner. And look, that may still be the case. I just won't get as much time. But I'm not going to speak to my offer to those individuals. That's their. Again, I'm open and transparent, but I don't think that entitles me to talk about other people's private business in my just conversations with them. I want to respect that. I still intend to honor. I'm a man of my word, and I intend to honor my word to those homeowners.
Okay, also, thank you. Mr. Roman, you had said that we are all talking about time. And we're talking a 30-day difference between what we're talking about and what Mr. Turner's talking about. However, we ask in November for questions. It's 3 months later. It's taken 3 months and we still don't have those questions. So 30 days does really matter because of getting those questions. Just like if it wasn't until November when if there could be a vote, that would give us more time to be able to answer some of those questions. It doesn't seem like a long time from September to November for me and you and everybody else. It does for him, but it seems like it's our concerns. We're the ones that have to live with it. He'll be out of here when the development is done. He's out of here, he's gone. The person that is the end user will be here. It won't matter to him anymore. So I think it does matter to have that extra time because we deserve those questions.
I guess really you're answering the question on why it's an emergency clause, because those 30 days do matter. That's why it is an emergency.
But you're also asking for it to be a 30-day clause. It moves it up 30 days versus letting it play out for the whole 30 days to be on the agenda. It takes that 30 days from us, not from him. It gives him the 30 days.
That's understood, and I think it was just a matter of them knowing that if the Amendment 3 passes, it was the ability to give them more time. I just gave the reason for that emergency. It's valid to say, well, look, they've been looking for these answers, and that they should get the answers, you know.
Okay. Also, I want to address the whole being on Google and looking up information. It's not a matter of being against technology. It's about placement of where this is. There are homes that are just close by. It's about that placement. It's not about whether we're against technology or for technology. Also, everybody on council, I encourage, if you didn't see the presentation that was done by Jerry Anderson at WGT, I invite you to go back to look at that. There was a homeowner in BG that talked about how he has zero property value now. That's a concern. I'm right across from that. People keep saying it's not going to affect property value. That gentleman made it very clear that it did affect his property. So I encourage you to go back and just take a look at that video. Yep.
So if I could address that last point. So Loudoun County was where I served on the Economic Development Commission. It is main in Maine for data centers. It's the biggest market in the world by far. The number of data centers there and data center space there has quadrupled over the last decade, and home values have more than doubled. So I don't see the correlation in the data. I understand, but what I'm saying is Loudoun County is an area that has data centers all over the place next to residential homes. And I did a residential project next to a data center, and it sold out, and it sold out well. And so I haven't seen that impact. If people want to live somewhere, they're going to live there. And the mix may change as it does anywhere, but that is what I see at the macro level with the data and what I saw in my own experience working in development next to a data center, residential right next to a data center. That was a residential project. And people buying those homes were knowingly going next to one of the oldest data centers in Loudoun County, which didn't have a lot of the mitigation in place. And it's not the prettiest of buildings, but they sold out and they did well. And there's kids there now playing. They have amenities and everything there. And it's a vibrant community.
That's wonderful for Loudoun, but if the real estate agents in Northwest Ohio are saying it's no property value, it doesn't matter if it's important in Loudoun.
Well, it's a matter of their perception on it, but they haven't seen the finished product yet.
Very true.
Okay, you got about 30 seconds, Amy.
Okay. And the last thing I wanted to say is I just want to heed warning to council about that. We once upon a time had an economic development contract with the refinery. Look how it's working out for us today. Not very well. So just keep that in mind as we're approaching any economic development things for the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Montmiller. Next up, Gary Thompson.
A lot to unpack. I'm going to try to get through here in 5 minutes. So Mr. Patton was the guy's name from Bowling Green that says he has no property value. He offered absolutely no proof of that. He didn't offer a Zillow estimate, an appraisal, or anything. I'm not going to name names, but I know the person that his backyard neighbor used to be Mr. Ackerman, who sold his berry farm to a methanol plant. That is this gentleman in Oregon's backyard. his property value has gone up. I know the people that live on Corduroy across from EnviroSafe, dare I say it, a toxic landfill. Their property values have gone up. The fact that we're going to put one of the most aesthetically pleasing industrial buildings in an industrial park, I would argue is not going to decrease people's property value. In fact, I would say if you attract companies like Meta and Google and Microsoft and Amazon, your property values actually go up in the community because you're seen as a vibrant, growing community that is in the 21st century. I want to speak to a little bit about eagles. And I'm just going to, you're going to have to take my word for it because it's little. So this is a picture I took from the Walmart parking lot. That's a bald eagle sitting on top of the transmission tower. So I always just like to say, if eagles can figure out how to live with industry, and if you want to see them, go to the refinery. They're all over there all the time. We should change some of these pictures because they do exist in trees and all those things, but they take advantage of those high perches to look for food as well. And if you notice, there's a big retention pond at Walmart that the eagles can fish out of as well. So I think the point is we can balance this and we can all live together. I want to stick up for my friend Mr. Wallensack because he can't talk on this topic. We take the votes on this council. That's where they occur. So people either vote, abstain, or vote, in favor or against. The backdoor dealing, if you're going to make accusations, maybe there should be proof. I would warn people of council, there are people sitting in the audience filming you, I'm guessing to put on Facebook or somewhere, and maybe they're going to try to catch you, putting your finger in your ear or something like that and put that on Facebook. So we're in a public meeting. It seems like we shouldn't have to film each other in a public meeting. We're all here. We got the news here, all those kinds of things. I want to give a special shout out to Will Turner and Capacity LLC as well. So Paul, Dennis, Steve, we've been involved in economic, Rodney, in a long time in Oregon, Ohio, and we've done lots of projects. And some of you are new to council. Mayor, you're relatively new to the mayor's position as well. I can't remember a time when a developer came to town, provided information to the public, took public air. Notice the people, there's 20,000 people that live in Oregon. And I don't know how many chairs we have, they're full, so there's that many people here tonight. So when people say, hey, the community wants it, well, this is part of the community. But we can't get 20,000 people in the room, right? So there's a whole bigger city that we need to think about that are probably taking their kids to gymnastics or doing homework and all those kinds of things and don't, like this poor young lady, have to sit through all these comments about things that don't concern them, okay? So I hope you understand you've got somebody that's worth their salt here in Will Turner that comes to your town, provides you with information, answers questions, takes the slings, takes the arrows. I think it was 4 days after the town hall, he had a response on the 3 questions that people had from the town hall. So it's amazing. He's not a guy that's going to run away from this community. He represents good folks. I've talked to his references. He does good business. He's a great partner. And his work is going to mean a lot of good things, not only for Oregon, but for other parts of Northwest Ohio as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next up is Will Tresso.
Good evening. First off, I have a question for you.
Mr. Will, I'm sorry, I should have reminded you.
Address 1500 Blandon Street.
Thank you, sir.
First question is for Ms. China. So you've kind of been thrown into a mess, so to speak. I have a FOIA request that actually hasn't been fulfilled, and it was filed back in early December. So what's the time frame looking like on getting that fulfilled?
I can't get this done. So I may not have seen it if it was early December because I wasn't here. So there.
Melissa did acknowledge it,
Okay,
so.
but that, I don't have it.
Okay.
I can say not a lot was left for me. So I would just request that you send it again, and then I will get it out to you promptly.
Okay, perfect. Second of all, everybody's talking about data centers. I mean, I'm neither for or against it, but you can't have your Facebook to rant and rave, share memes, and complain about things without data centers. or Google. You can't look up what the weather is without a data center of some sort or another. Whether it's in the capacity of artificial intelligence or a server farm. Data centers have always been a thing. Now, I do have a question for whoever would like to answer, and that is, I have some background in local construction, the electrical field, and that is, data centers consume hundreds of megawatts, if not gigawatts of power. That being said, North Star Blue Steel, they have to shut down during the summer during high load on our electrical grid because they consume so much power because they have electric furnaces that melt the steel and do the processing. You're wanting to add to that stress to the electrical grid.
We did a detailed load study to confirm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was the purpose of the detailed load study, to make sure that when we are adding that demand to the grid, that it's not stressing it. And then we're also looking at on-site generation assets to back that up. So that was all part of the whole picture. But that was the purpose of the detailed load study, was to ensure that we don't do that. Now, I'm assuming that they have a huge spike, like whereas data centers have a consistent demand load. A place like Blue Star would likely have a massive spike when they're using their equipment, and in the summertime with the AC, there would be kind of a variation in the power grid. That would be my take as to why that's the case. But we did a detailed load study explaining that sort of steady state or that within that variation of it.
And then furthermore is, you all talk about the taxes and whatnot. We have 2 refineries, we have 2 hospitals, we have several auto parts suppliers in the city, property taxes, income taxes, whatever other taxes that the people that work there contribute or the business itself. Where is that money going, and why is there some sort of dire need for additional money? Where's the money at that employees that work in the city have been paying, the taxpayers that live here, So that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Tresso. Anybody else that forgot to sign in to speak, you're more than welcome. Name and address, please.
Debbie Geddert, 601 South Stadium Road. Everybody wants to go inside the data center. Why don't you all go outside the data center to the closest house and see if they're having trouble with their power and their water? That's my crazy idea.
Thank you, Mrs. Geddert. Anyone else? You got one, all right.
Sue Jazorski, 4590 Brown Road. Okay, I don't have a whole lot to say, but I'd like to know, why is it that this is all so wonderful for everything, but all these townships and cities, Waterville, Anthony Wayne, Monclova, Gibsonburg, Woodville, Perrysburg, Dundee, Lansing, and Auburn Hills, to name a few, nobody wants it. So why, since there is such a disparage between who wants it and who doesn't, why can't the people vote? What is it why can't the people vote? Done.
Thank you, Mr. Grugowski. Okay, next on the agenda is the agenda items. Okay, we're going to start with item 15 of 2026. Yeah, I'm not trying to run anybody out. I hope you stay here as long as I got to be here. We can BS after that. If you'd like to leave now, you can. If not, you're more than welcome to stay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, first items item 15 of 2026, presented by Mr. Rodney Schultz. Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is needed to proceed with the construction of the Otter Creek Road and Bay Shore Road roadway departure countermeasure project, which involves the installation of centerline and edgeline rumble strips, raised pavement markers, and dynamic flashing chevrons along the curve at Bay Shore and Otter Creek. The city, we went after grant funding through ODOT to safety funds. We had met with the police department. There's been some vehicular crashes where they left the roadway. So we were able to secure funding through ODOT at a 90-10 split for the project. So this is to enter into the contract with the contractor to actually do the work. The contractor that was the low bidder, actually they were the sole bidder, was Griffin Pavement Striping. They do all of our pavement striping on our normal projects. And actually we're happy that we actually got a bid because of this is kind of a lot of specialized work, and these contractors are typically subcontractors for the larger companies, so they don't normally like bid an ODOT project and be the prime. So we were actually pleased that we were able to get a bid on it. The base bid, like I mentioned, it involves installing these measures along Otter Creek and Bay Shore. We also did an alternate bid when we originally went after our safety funds. We also looked at Cedar Point relocated to do funding or to do some improvements there as well. Unfortunately, ODOT didn't fund that portion of the project, so we added that in as alternate bids. And actually, the bids that we got on that seemed to be really good pricing. The unit prices are actually less than the base bid, so we would look at awarding that as well. So looking at it, the total amount of the bid. Total bid was, what was it, 101? Yeah. Yeah, I got it. Was $101,372.60. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Council, is there any additional questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Gibbs.
I'm just wondering why we need this.
So Mr. President, we've had, each year there's averaging about 2 vehicular crashes that basically vehicles leave the road and end up striking objects. One of them involved a fatality where a vehicle basically was driving along. It was late at night, single occupant. They left the roadway and struck a telephone pole. So trying to look at measures to prevent these type of crashes along our roadway. So that's the reason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Council, is there any additional questions? Hearing none, I will seek a motion to move item 15 of 2026 to next week's agenda. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Poliff.
so moved.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Poliff. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Mr. Gibbs, second. We have a motion by Mrs. Poliff, seconded by Mr. Gibbs, to move item 15 of 2026 to next week's agenda. Council, is there any objections? Hearing none, item 15 of 2026 is moved to next week's agenda. Next on the agenda is item 16 of 2026.
President?
Mr. Roman?
If I could, Mr. President, could I present items 16 and 17 together?
Yes, please.
Okay. Both items are the City of Oregon is part of a NOAC, Northwest Ohio Aggregation Coalition, or NOAC, one of 13 members. And both of these ordinances are basically locking into the best prices we can get for natural gas and power. Palmer Energy is our consultant, as the NOAC's consultant, and to go through these costs. Item 16 is really needed to extend the city's current agreement with Archer Energy for the cities for natural gas aggregate, as the natural gas aggregate. The request to extend we have our current contract ends in May, and this 12-month extension would be June of 2026 through May of 27. The original agreement was passed in March of 2024, had a 20-month time period. And the electric aggregate, which is item 17, is an ordinance needed to enter into a 25-month electric energy supplier contract. I believe, and Melissa Webney is here from Palmer Energy to answer questions, but item 17 is really giving authorization to Palmer to negotiate the best price with the two lowest bidders for a 20-month contract, and to really go through and explain that further. Melissa, I'm going to talk to Mark Fry, get you a raise for having to sit through all these meetings. But go ahead, and if you can help explain, I'd appreciate it.
I appreciate it. My name is Melissa Webney. I'm with Palmer Energy Company. We are Toledo-based independent energy consulting firm. We've been in business for 45 years now. I've been with Palmer myself since 2012, so I've really learned a lot over the years. One of the groups that we work with, as you had mentioned, is the Northwest Ohio Aggregation Coalition. On electric, there are 15 communities across Northwest Ohio. That includes the city of Toledo, Lucas County, city of Oregon, the city of Maumee, city of Northwood, city of Sylvania, city of Perrysburg, vast majority of Northwest Ohio. Gas has a similar number. There's a few that have different gas. Some of them are more propane-based, so they're not in the program, that sort of thing. Our goal with these programs is always to provide a lower cost alternative than what residents and small businesses could get by shopping on their own. Ohio is a deregulated energy state. I'm kind of going back to the beginning. So there's a portion of your costs on both gas and electric that you can't shop for. That would be the portion called distribution, whether that's from Columbia Gas on the natural gas side or whether that's from Toledo Edison on the electric side. But there is a portion that you can shop for, being the actual commodity itself. So that's the part we're talking about. These are opt-out aggregation programs that have been in place for quite a long time. You get the mailers in the mail. If you don't want to participate, you can opt out. You can do so. You can mail the thing back in. You can opt out online. Usually you can call to opt out. There's no fee to leave. There's no obligation to stay in the program, but they are opt-out programs because they were previously passed on the ballot by your communities. Our goal is always to provide that lower cost alternative to the utility standard service offer. So basically, if you were not choosing an alternate supplier on gas or electric, that would be what you would pay directly through Columbia Gas or directly through Toledo Edison. Any questions so far?
And if I could, Mr. President.
Mr. Roman?
Mrs. Webney, in terms of the deterrent for natural gas, the recommendation was to extend the contract with Archer Energy.
Yes.
Were there other, is there any reason to recommend that?
Yes. So to speak more generally first, because this is applicable on both the gas and electric, these programs are publicly bid out to certified suppliers in the state of Ohio. They're certified to provide natural gas and electric supply to these groups of customers by the Public Utilities Commission. That pool of suppliers has gotten significantly smaller over the last few years. There's a number of reasons why, with the least of which being that a lot of the companies have kind of bought each other. So there's been a natural condensing of these suppliers available that also have the credit and wherewithal to support a program of this size, because with all of these communities, it's pretty significant. Right now, Archer has been extremely competitive, but the big reason why we are recommending an extension is based on some regulatory proceedings that would result in refunds to constituents. There's been some rate cases with the actual pipeline company, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. So by staying with Archer for that 12-month period, which is the minimum aggregation term in the state of Ohio on both gas and electric, it makes it easier for when there is a final decision on that rate case, for those credits to be automatically applied to the base rate that you're paying through the program. We saw that on the current term where the price decreased, the adder. And then that way, if you're participating, it's much easier than having them try to mail out checks or prepaid gift cards. There's usually a lot of issues with those, so the biggest reason would be the ease in making sure that that money goes back to your constituents in the most simplistic way.
Mr. President, if I could.
Mr. Holman?
Just on the electric aggregate, then, the item 17, it came down to 2 low bidders. And this ordinance is kind of giving authorization to Palmer to negotiate. It's odd to see 25 months, but could you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so typically we would narrow it down to 2 suppliers as long as they're both competitive. We try to do that to make sure things remain competitive. That way, on the day that we have all of the communities together to sign, we're going to ask for both companies to provide pricing, and whoever has the most competitive bid at that point, we would go with. So it's kind of a way to just keep everything honest and transparent as far as making sure that we are getting the best price for you guys on the day of execution. The 25-month term was honestly just a sweet spot in the market. Right now, there's a lot of unknowns in the market beyond that May-June 28 term. So we would not recommend locking in beyond that just because of the unknown as far as future capacity costs right now with energy costs. But this provided a competitive rate compared to what's going on in the market now. And that 25-month term was just kind of a sweet spot, getting us basically an additional summer month, which tends to be a peak power pricing month for that term.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you guys have any more
Thank you.
questions?
Yeah. Melissa, I got a question for you.
Yes.
I had a couple phone calls from people to opt out. It's my understanding, I don't deal with ours at home, my wife does. It says you gotta, they said you have to fill out a card and send it in saying you don't want it.
Correct. And the reason for that is because it was passed as a ballot measure. I'd have to go back and find the date just because they're different for all of the communities. But it was passed on the ballot affirmatively by residents in your city. This was probably back in the mid-2000s. I can get that date for you. I just don't know it off the top of my head. But, you know, if you end up participating and you find something that's more competitive, you're free to leave at any time. There's no early termination fees. That's the way this program has always been. Depending on the supplier, there are ways to opt out online. They're all a little bit different. If there's ever an issue, we do have someone in our office here in Toledo who is exceptional at helping people navigate all of that. She's wonderful. She's at her phone, and she's walked a lot of people through how to opt in or opt out. If you want to get into the program at a later time, that's possible too.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Council, any other questions?
Mr. President, I have a question.
Mr. Horniak?
Thank you for being here. The question's not really for you.
Oh.
It would be more internally, because in my 10 years of being here, every time this comes up, our residents and our community are inundated with offers and solicitations and phone calls and door knockers. And everybody with a phone in this building starts getting phone calls about, oh my God, I just signed up for something. How do I get out of it? I just got my first bill and it's way higher than they promised me. And oh my goodness gracious. I've asked this every single time we've had this discussion about these agreements. Can we utilize the water bill or other methods? Because contrary to belief, no matter how much we talk about it here, people still don't listen and don't read it and will say, I didn't know anything about it. How can we get this word out to people? Can we use the water bills? Can we put it on the website? Just that if you're getting something from one of these 2 suppliers, that is your City of Oregon approved program. If you choose to opt out and go do your own shopping, go right ahead. But I also know my father, who's 84 years old, was one of those phone calls a couple of years back to somebody in the office, and thank goodness they were wonderfully helpful, but his bill was almost double. Because someone was on his porch saying, well, we're the new program for you, we can save you money, here's what you got, this is what the city's doing. They're not bound by honesty when they're making those calls. How do we, as the leaders of the city, help to let people know so that they don't step into that hole and then try to figure out how to get back out of it? And again, more so for us than for you, because we're gonna get phone calls.
Yeah, and if I could just add a little to that, just because this is something that we do here, and it's become something that's a lot more pertinent to myself, especially because I work pretty much solely in the aggregation space now, in my role at Palmer. We are trying to be a lot more proactive as far as getting you clear information for your website. Your website's great. We want to make sure that you have that before those notices start going out so that you're prepared in advance. We have communities that have done little blurbs on their water bills, so we've seen that done. Any sort of social media blast, if you have like a Facebook or whatever, we can help you make sure that you're getting that information out there. And just like anything else, we always caution people if you have someone coming door to door, and I know sometimes they can be very aggressive as far as, you know, let's see your electric bill. I want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to. It's like anything else at this point. I urge you to use caution because that's still sensitive information. If somebody came to my door, which somebody has come to my door and pulled out the NOAC opt-out, and I said, I'm gonna stop you there because I work for the company that does that. You know, just making sure you're asking the questions, and if you realize after the fact, or you have a resident that calls you and says, oh crap, I think I might have done the wrong thing, this isn't the city's program, we can definitely help figure out what they need to do to make sure that they do get into the program.
And just to close, again, Mr. Mayor, I'd kind of direct it for you. You have the abilities to kind of lean these things in different ways. However, we can communicate this to the public. Here are two different aggregation items, your gas and your power. This is the City of Oregon program. Like I said, I can only speak from my personal experience and what I've seen from my dad going through that, because that wasn't fun. The last time this contract came up, I received 6 solicitation letters addressed to my dad's house, all saying, we're the new cost savings program in your area, please fill this out. And he literally changed companies 3 times in about 2 months because everybody said they were it. And then the follow-up phone call to say, hey, did you get our letter? You got the program. All you have to do is sign that card and send it. That's what I'm trying to guard against. How do we just let people know these are the 2 programs that we are recommending you stay into? And if you are a better shopper than all of us, go do your thing.
Yeah, if you have to put information into them, then it is not the program. That's the bottom line, but we certainly can help.
Okay, appreciate
President.
that. Thank you.
Mrs. Powell.
Since I've been here and every year this comes up, the only sage advice that has ever been put out there is don't do anything. Just trust that you're in the program through the city and don't answer the doors. Don't give them your phone, or if they're going to ask you for your electric bill, no, don't do that. If they're coming to you, it's not through the city. So just remember that. Thanks, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak, Mrs. Powell. Counselors, are there any additional questions? Mr. Clark, did you have a question?
I was gonna say the same thing he said. Are we getting a better, cheapest rate by going with the program or whatever you got? Are we getting pretty much the best deal?
Historically, yes. It's like anything else where the commodities market is always changing. It's traded on a public exchange like anything else. I actually pulled the numbers, so for the contract, that was before the one we're in now, because we're in the middle of a contract right now, the city of Oregon saved $3.6 million across its residents and small commercial customers that were participating. This is a program that's been longstanding, over a decade. And again, the ultimate choice is to you guys. If you find a better offer or you don't feel like this is the best option for you, you're free to do whatever you feel is best for your property. If you figure out later on that maybe it was the better rate, you can then get back into the program.
That's what's so confusing.
Yeah.
I know.
You just got done saying it.
Mr. President? if I could.
Mr. Dick Roman.
Yeah, Melissa, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what a lot of these companies do is they give an incentive, especially for the beginning, where they do offer a better rate, but it's a variable rate where they can jack it up at any time. Where this is coming in as a fixed rate where it's set for the entire period. So you're not gonna see 1, 2, 3 months where you're into it, then it goes way up. This is gonna stay consistent for the entire period.
Yes, and thank you for adding that. That's something, there has been some legislation pending as far as addressing sort of kind of what you were getting at as far as how these offers are marketed from other suppliers. When we direct people to the Apples to Apples website, which is basically the other supplier offers that are available out there, I've walked a couple people through this, just here's the things you need to look for. Introductory offer is always a big one, but the fine print is always a must, because sometimes it will say, okay, this is a 12-month term, there's no fee to leave, but then if you don't send in your notice that you're gonna end your agreement at the end of the 12 terms between 30 and 60 days out, then it automatically renews for a 12-month period at whatever rate. So those sorts of things, we try to make sure that you're very careful about. And like I said, we have someone here in our office in Toledo who's happy to assist with any of that.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it. Yes, I'm sorry, Mrs. Trudeau. Yeah, we can't hear you that good here. You're good. No, we remember you.
So I'm a trustee with the Harborview Historical Society, and we do not want to be part of the aggregate program. So I spoke to Palmer Energy last spring myself, and I was given instructions on how to permanently opt out, okay? So one of the other board members and I completed the permanent opt-out program online, the form, 6 months ago, and we're still part of this program. One of the board members has also filed a formal complaint with the PUCO. We're still part of this program. So how do we get out of this program?
Yes, so if I can speak to
Thank
that.
you.
So I believe what you're referring to, the Public Utilities Commission has a do not aggregate list. Basically, if you want to remove your accounts from being part of any list that the utility sends out as far as being a participant, you're removed from that. The issue that I could see is that if your accounts were in the program, which if they're still in the program, usually if there is somebody who enacts that do not aggregate list while they're in the program, that doesn't drop you from that program. You then have to contact the supplier and basically say, I want to be out of this contract. So unless the program was basically ending and changing suppliers, that's when you would be removed. But since you were already in the program, it doesn't automatically kick you out. You would have to go back to the supplier to do that.
We've had conversations with suppliers as well.
Okay, well, I'm happy to look into it. I mean, without having your specific information, I can't really speak to the specifics, but I can leave you my card if you'd like to contact me. Yeah.
Fran, go to the mic, please. I can't hear you.
I'm helping pretty much like Mr. Horniak, an 81 and an 88-year-old Korean vet right now, trying to help him get stuff organized. They had no idea about the charter. Is there some way They have no idea about computer. I mean, let's face it, they don't know. They had no idea that they were involved in Negravate that had lower electric. With going through paperwork with them, the last, I don't know, 6 months, they went through 3 electric companies because, again, they call. I seen those gift cards they send them for this money for signing up. Their electric bill for a 2-bedroom, tiny house, $550. This has happened to our elderly because they don't know. So if we can't get it where they can know about it, we as citizens need to watch out for our elderly. We really do. We need to look out for them. It's a lot of money. They don't realize the prices really aren't that high. You know what I mean? They don't know.
Yeah.
So is there some way to get the elderly to know that this is your best deal? They get phone calls. I've been there. 8, 10 phone calls, spam phone calls a day, wanting them to switch this and switch that. I'm telling you, it's a nightmare looking at this paperwork. It is a nightmare. So I don't know if maybe putting it on the water bill. And then you've got people who pay bills online, so they don't even pay attention. It just comes out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
And I wish there were better rules and regulations on what, for anything, what can be sold and done over the phone, but unfortunately, that's definitely a much bigger issue.
I put
than
them on.
just me.
I put them on the do not call list,
Yeah.
and they're still calling them.
I don't answer those.
You got
know?
5 seconds, Fran.
Well, they do. They do. They answer it. She says hello.
Ding dong.
I'm sick.
You're done, Fran.
I'm sick. But she tells them about her. I'm sick. I'm 81. I can't talk right now.
Okay.
So these other companies are taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
They
Half
are.
the time, I don't answer them.
Thanks,
I
Fran.
know who it is.
Appreciate it.
so.
Thanks, Melissa. Okay, back. Mr. Roman.
Mr. President, just to respond, I do think there's no good one way to reach all residents. It could be a combination of using the water bills as well as a Facebook post and a link to the city website. Maybe one good thing is to reach out to other NOAC members and see if they already have something in place. Why reinvent the wheel? And then do a combination of a campaign where it's a mixed bag. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Council, is there any other questions? Hearing none, I will seek a motion to move item 16 of 2026 to next week's agenda. Is there
Mr.
a
President.
motion? Mr. Horniak.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Pauloff. We have a motion by Mr. Horniak, seconded by Mrs. Pauloff, to move item 16, 2026 to next week's agenda. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, item 16 of 2026 is moved to next week's agenda. Council, is there any additional questions on item 17 of 2026? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to move item 17 of 2026 to next week's agenda. Is there a motion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Horniak.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Pauloff. Thank you, Mrs. Pauloff. We have a motion by Mr. Horniak, seconded by Mrs. Pauloff, to move item 17 of 2026 to next week's agenda. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, item 17 of 2026 is moved to next week's agenda.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. No.
I'm gonna leave my
Run.
information.
Run.
Just stay here.
Thank
We'll be
you.
back next week. You can say the same thing. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up is presented by item 18 of 2026, Chief Clayton O'Brien. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance will allow us to apply and accept a grant from Enbridge Pipeline for the purchase of communications. And so just to full transparency, each year we try to work through many different community grants locally. And I didn't realize that I had overlooked having an ordinance in place until we actually received a check for this grant. So we did receive a check for $7,500. It'll be for the purchase of an MDT cradle for our ambulances, but also a couple in portable radio chargers and other miscellaneous communication stuff.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Councilors, any additional questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move item 18 of 2026 to next week's agenda?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Pawlov.
so moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Pawlov. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Gibbs. Okay. We have a motion by Mrs. Pawlov, seconded by Mr. Gibbs to move item 18, 2026 to next week's agenda. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, item 18 of 2026 is moved to next week's agenda. Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 19, presented by Clayton O'Brien, correct, Chief?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance will allow us to produce a purchase order for the purchase of the mini ambulance. If you recall, last year we had many discussions about this. This mini ambulance is being funded through a grant through Synovus. And we did receive that check, so now we're able to go ahead and put a purchase order in place and actually formally make that order.
Okay. Thank you, Chief O'Brien. Council, any additional questions? Hearing none, I'll seek a motion to move item 19 of 2026 to next week's agenda.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Pawlov.
so moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Pawlov. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Thank you, Mr. Horniak. We have a motion by Mrs. Pawlov, second by Mr. Horniak to move item 19 of 2026 to next week's agenda. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, item 19 of 2026 is moved to next week's agenda. Next agenda item is item 20 of 2026, presented by Paul Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is needed to approve a third amendment to the purchase agreement with Capacity LLC and the Economic Development Foundation that was approved. The original, it's an amendment to the purchase agreement from the original in November of 2024 that was under Ordinance 183 of 2024. Earlier tonight, we had a committee meeting just to talk about that, and I wanted to make one thing very clear. You know, no purchases have taken place. The agreement laid out several contingencies and conditions to be met before an actual purchase would be made. And we've had two other amendments that either change the contingencies or the time frame, and I talked about that earlier. Amendment 3, I want to talk in detail just to go through it again and make sure it's clear to everybody. It involves several items. It is the extension for the time period for a pipeline and emissions contingency to go from March 31st of 2026 to September 30th of 2026. Again, the pipeline contingency is for the developer to obtain the proper permits to extend a natural gas pipeline to the site. The emissions is also to allow the developer to obtain all emissions permitting and state registration to install natural gas powered modules. They are also asking to add a new contingency for electric infrastructure. This would take the place of the load study contingency that was in there originally, but this would allow the developer to secure property and electric equipment for the switchyard. The amendment includes the purchase of 4 new properties that are owned by the city. and they are in the Economic Development Foundation name. They're up in Industrial Park. It's equal to 6.1 acres added to the 170 acres that was cited in the original purchase agreement. They are offering to increase the purchase price from $17.4 million to $18 million, again, for a total acreage of 176.666 acres. There's also the requirement of adding a preliminary site plan as a part of the Economic Development Agreement, which is a condition of the purchase agreement, which also needs city council approval. And I want to make it clear that there are several more ordinances that are needed for this purchase to go through. I mentioned the Economic Development Agreement, I mentioned the CRA ordinance, the Community Reinvestment Area Ordinance. If they are proceeding with developing Windscape into a switch yard and are asking to vacate Windscape Drive, that too would be an ordinance. It actually would have to go to Planning Commission for their recommendation and then back to City Council. And as I said earlier, we had many residents from the general public asking for more time to consider this. It was asked for a moratorium, and I know this isn't exactly that, but asking for more time for public input, just to address the public's concerns and questions, was being made to this body. And at the same time, the developer was also asking for an extension to do their due diligence on checking out their contingencies. So I thought it only seemed to make sense to have this extension and to ask for that request before council. And all I'm asking is for people to have an open mind. There will be other ordinances that still would have to be passed for this purchase to go through. I'm thinking it's just asking for both sides, one side to get their answers, the other side to do their due diligence. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, is there any questions? Hearing none, I'll seek a motion to move item 2026 to next week's agenda.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Polliff.
so moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Polliff. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Thank you, Mr. Horniak. We have a motion by Mrs. Polliff, seconded by Mr. Horniak to move item 2026 to next week's agenda. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, item 2026 is moved to next week's agenda. With all the items on the agenda being considered, we will now move on to the mayor's report. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing really too much today. I do want to thank you all for coming out, and those who had left also to thank them for coming out and being heard. And I just want to say that I am not a blind, I'm just going to support this because we're told to. So I don't want you to think that I'm not listening or that, you know, others of us up here are not listening. We have a lot of things to consider going forward if this passes. That I definitely am hearing what you're saying and the various concerns that you have. So I am not just going to blindly go along and agree. So I just wanted to say that, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Solander. Mrs. Pfeiffer.
No report.
Okay. Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one item. The fire department made us aware that they need to make a engine replacement to one of their fire trucks. And I do view this as an emergency nature. And I know in the past, I know for the street department, when we have to do these things for equipment, that I know otherwise would be very expensive just to replace it, to buy new. So it is recommended to proceed with the engine replacement. And I wanted Chief O'Brien to talk about it. I think typically what we do is, and I know Chief O'Brien has gone and actually received 2 bids for this work. And it is recommended to go to the lowest bidder. But a lot of times you want to get that price and then come back with an ordinance for council's approval. So I just wanted him to touch base on it real quick, and that's it.
Yeah, so last week we were notified that we do have one of our engines that is in need of a complete motor replacement. We've looked at different options, and then this option being the complete motor replacement. We had it at the current shop that gave us a current quote. And when we got that first quote, I wanted to just shop around. I wanted to, make sure that we were getting the best deal. And then I ended up finding another place that we were able to get a substantially lower deal in the realm of $15,000. So with that being said, we're going to be having our truck moved to that location, and they'll be completing it. So the motor will be being ordered, and they're telling us approximately a 60-day lead time on the time to be able to get the motor, and then depends on, a week or two to be able to install it from there. So once we have the final price, then we'll be able to bring back the ordinance, the completion of the ordinance, because working with Mr. Roman, Finance Director Roman, we're going to be paying for this purchase out of our 235 EMS billing revenue account. And so that ordinance has to encompass not only the movement of the appropriation from the fund, but also to the account line item of the vehicle account line item. So we want to make sure that that number's right, and when that project is completely done, there's a heater core issue as well with that fire engine, but we can't get the complete replacement of what's needed on the heater core until actually the motor's put in and they can go through that. So we want to have another 20 years from this truck. Well, I should say we want to have another 15 years of a good time from this truck. But you never know, and that's this is the last year that they're making this L9 motor. And so we have to get in, this is a 2016 apparatus. We have to, keep it for much longer than what we have it now, so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chief O'Brien. Ms. Pfeiffer, I'm sorry, I got out of order. Do you have anything? Okay. Mr. Schultz.
Yes, Mr. President, just want to report the Navarre Safety Project that we awarded last August. Actually, you'll actually start to see some construction taking place next week. Weather permitting, contractor will be starting to do some underground work with installing some of the signal foundations, putting in some conduits. If you've been out there in the last week or so, they've mobilized some traffic cones and signs. So what that means is there'll be some small lane closures while they're working, and they'll kind of move around, starting on the south side of the road, work their way east. This is between Isaac Street and Coy, and jump to the north side, work their way back. This is just a signal contractor at this point doing some underground work. Then once the weather breaks, then we'll start to see some of the roadway work, which will be adding some turn lane or adding some bump outs for U-turns and different things where the signals will be going in. So just wanted to let everybody know that that's going to be kind of kicking off here starting next week. So nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schultz. Mr. Horniak.
No report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horniak. Mrs. Pawliff.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Pawliff. Mr. Walenzak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I wanted to remind council that a few weeks back, I had expressed an interest of us starting to engage in a process of the procedure that we would follow if there is another vacancy of a council seat. I'm not sure if any council member has thought about that, put anything down, but I stress that we need to engage in this process while it's still fresh in our mind. And I'm not sure if there's a committee meeting that could be had to discuss this, but I would rather us move sooner rather than later and put together a procedure that this council will follow. We can't encumber other councils in the future to maintain the same, I would say, council policy, but it's something that if we could come together and if in case it happens again, we know the procedure and the public will know the procedure of what will take place. So again, I'm not sure what committee that would fall under. I'll speak with Council President Drake to figure that out, but I would like us to move forward with that so that we can let the public know how that would happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walenzak. Mr. Andrus.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Andrus. Mr. Gibbs.
Yeah, I'd like to report, Councilman Andrus and myself were able to visit the water treatment plant. And we have a really good facility out there. There's a lot of good workers out there. They're doing a great job. And I would encourage anybody that can get on the city directory to go to the water department site. And there's a lot of information there that you can learn about your treatment plant and what it entails. That's all.
Okay, Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. I have no report from my committee. I'd just like to give a shout out to the snow crews that were out, also the water department. I know they had break after break after break. They did a very good job, and I want to thank Mr. Roman and Keith Henniger on Route 2. I know the sidewalks have been taken care of. I know the street department did a lot of, I know there's a lot of work to do that, but it looks good, and it's good to see that people that aren't able to walk and go through with electric scooters or whatever they have, it's good to see they're able to get around and go to where they have to go. So that's all I have. Thank you. There's no further business tonight. I'd like to seek a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Pollock. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.